My goal today is to introduce to you some ideas, to have an open discussion about this, and to hopefully set you on the right track of overcoming this, because it holds us all back in one way or another. So I'm going to introduce some ideas and concepts that might be a little foreign. So just bear with it. And I just ask for an open heart and open mind when we're absorbing this content. So we first want to look at the etiology, the beginnings of imposter syndrome. It's important for us to understand the why behind the what. So when we look at extrinsic motivation, which is a huge motivation for a lot of us, extrinsic motivation relies on inputs or information or rewards from outside of ourselves. And studies link that to a fancy term called executive function, which is just our conscious control over our decision. That's what executive function is. So the way we see this a lot is they did the marshmallow studies. I've talked about that before. But basically, that study showed that kids base their decision off what the majority of other kids are doing. Not off their own thoughts, necessarily their beliefs, but what others are doing. We see that in tragic things of like the Holocaust. Hey, this group is just gonna try to diminish this other group, and people go along with it. So that's kind of how strong executive function is. If you've ever been to a street and there's a no walk sign, but then somebody walks, and then what happens? A whole group of people, sometimes the whole group, will go ahead and follow along those people. Those are extrinsic motivations. And again, they kind of impact our executive function or our decision making. A lot of times, guilt, shame, and fear and reward are powerful extrinsic motivators. The big takeaway here is that group behaviors tend to become your accepted norm, and much of our behavior comes from authority figures in our lives. So how is that relevant to kind of what we're talking about today? Well, I want to go over where your belief system was formed to where it is now and what we can do about this and how this impacts imposter syndrome, which we'll get into. So it's going to start with domestication. Domestication is an idea. Right now, I'm domesticating you. I'm introducing a belief to you. Or not a belief, but an idea to you. That's what I'm doing right now. So domestication occurs when an idea or belief is passed on to an individual to get them to conform to a certain point of view or see a certain point of view. Most of the domestication that has gone on in your life has been from people who love you, who care about you, people that you respect. Some common domestications would be the clean plate club. Did anyone have that growing up? Clean plate club. You must finish your food to be strong. And by the way, there's starving kids in Africa that if you don't, then you don't get any desserts at all. So it's guilt, fear, and reward were my parents' tools to get me to eat my plate. And to this day, I eat what's in front of me because of that domesticated belief. Being a provider, you might have heard, hey, a parent provides for their family. These are not bad beliefs or ideas. None of these are bad beliefs. There's money beliefs that you were domesticated on. There's beliefs about winning. I've got a friend, like it's second place is first loser. You either win or you're nothing. That's his belief. That was passed on to him. Appearance, big one in the industry is people are domesticated with the belief that, hey, you need to look a certain way or look the part to be a coach. I put there like whose part. So now they're using fear and shame. Like, hey, if you don't look a certain way, you'll never be successful as a coach. So that fear is in you. And there's a shame. Oh, I don't look a certain way. So maybe I just can't be a coach. Education is a big domesticated belief or idea that we have. And then a lot of times we have like investing, like your home and his asset. You must own a home. So these are just ideas that were introduced to us as adults, as kids. And what happens is these ideas then become our beliefs. So what this means is the person who introduced the idea to us no longer needs to be present for us to believe that. We're kind of on autopilot now. So like I told you earlier, now I clean my plate no matter what. Mom and dad, or I think it was grandma that actually domesticated that on me. She doesn't need to be around. I just clean my plate wherever we go. Okay, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with self-domestications. Money beliefs. Now somebody, you may have been domesticated or introduced to an idea on money. So now you self-sabotage when you start to see financial stress because you believe like, ooh, I was told an idea that money is the root to evil. So when I start to get it, my subconscious kind of pushes it away. Winning. So you may quit a game altogether. If you were said, hey, you either play to win or you don't play at all, or if you second place is first loser, you might say, you know what? Wow, I've adopted that idea. It's my belief. So therefore, I'm not going to play the game because I don't think I can win. Appearance. So you now might go invest in all kinds of resources into makeup, clothing, crazy fad diets so you can fit some appearance because you've adopted this self-domestication. And it goes on with education and investing. I had a huge self-domestication on education, which we'll talk about here in a second. None of these concepts are good or bad. Again, it's generally people that loved us, that introduced us the ideas. We kind of like have been around groups and kind of adopted these ideas. They're now our beliefs. But what oftentimes comes is these beliefs now become attachments. And when our beliefs become attachments, things spiral a little bit out of control. So for example, the Clean Plate Club. If it becomes an attachment, you will actually judge others. Oh my God, you guys see, he threw away that burger. What a wasteful human being. You start to judge others who don't think the same way you do. Or being a provider, you might see a mom or a dad that they only work a few hours a week. You may say, oh, they're lazy. They're cheating the system. That's impossible. They're cheating the system. Money beliefs. You may now be overly skeptical or even judgmental of others who are wealthy or see those with money as greedy or immoral. I have a buddy. He has an attachment to winning. And he now judges others for, hey, you know what? Can you believe that this person showed up looking like that? Ha! Oh my goodness, what were they thinking? You see this a lot in the bodybuilding realm. So they have these attachments. One, these attachments are stealing your joy. But two, they're also causing you to not pursue things that could be your potential. Attachments can destroy your reputation because you're always judging other people because you have these attachments. For education, a very popular attachment is you don't see people with higher education as credible. Oh, this is an attachment that I had for many, many years, and it did not serve me. And I judged others. If you weren't certified, if you didn't have all the certifications, you can't coach others. And if you are, you're cheating. Horrible attachment, not a joyful way to be, and just not a truth. So hopefully some of your wheels are turning. Appearance, a big attachment to appearance is, hey, you can't trust a skinny cook. Kind of a funny euphemism there, but people might say, hey, you can't hire a coach who's also going through the process themselves. That's baloney. That coach shouldn't be doing that. These are all attachments. And we're going to talk about how these attachments now lead to imposter syndrome and then how to overcome this. But it's important that we understand the process. Hopefully some of you right now are like, oh yeah, I did have this idea that did become a belief, and holy cow, you're right. I kind of judge other people that don't have the same belief, and that is an attachment. We want to reverse that, and it can be reversed. I was able to reverse 2 attachments. I used to think that if you didn't do macros, because my version of that was it's the most scientific way to do a diet. If you were a coach that didn't do macros, then you were an inferior coach. Not an attachment anymore, hardly even a belief anymore. So somewhere along the lines, I was introduced that idea, it became a belief, and then it became an attachment, and I was able to reverse that. Same thing with education. You see all these like dated certifications behind me. I used to think that coaches who didn't have certifications shouldn't coach, and they were frauds. Oh my gosh, that is no longer an attachment. That attachment was just didn't serve me, and it just wasn't true. So let's get into limiting beliefs. And this is what attachments lead to. They lead to limiting beliefs that hold you back. So your beliefs are how you view others. They were taught to you. Okay, cool. They came from the outside. And then attachments are beliefs that left unchecked lead to these limiting beliefs. So if you ever thought of, I'm too old, nobody in my area can afford this. These are all attachments. These are not true statements, but you will defend them to your core. And that's the problem with attachments, is you defend them to your core. Like I used to defend macros to my core. I used to defend having to have education to my core. And that's what's dangerous about these, because not only will you defend them to your core, they'll hold you back, but they'll also hold back others that you're domesticating. So you start to become that domesticator, and then other people self-domesticate, and then they have the same attachments as you that lead to these limiting beliefs.